Welcome back to Study Sprint. Today we're diving into a skill that makes numbers easier to work with, which is rounding. So our learning objectives for today are to understand and identify significant figures and to round numbers to a specified number of significant figures. So let's get started. The first significant digit in a number is the first non-zero digit. So let's take a look at this number here, 2.6937. Our first significant digit will be our first non-zero number, which is 2. Our second one will be 6. And the third one will be 9. And this goes on, so 3 will be our fourth one, and 7 will be our fifth one. All the digits that follow are then significant digits, regardless of whether or not there are zeros. So 2 is our first significant digit. Then 6 is our second. And 9 is our third. Now let's take a look at our second number, which is 0.0505. Now in this case, you can see that our first and second digits are zeros. Then we have a 5. This means that 5 is going to be our first significant digit because this is our first non-zero number. Then we have another 0. This 0 will also be counted as a significant digit because this is after my first significant digit. However, both of these zeros are not counted as significant digits because they are before my first significant digit. Both of them do not have a significant digit before them. Then 5 is going to be my third significant digit in the number. So let's go through this again. My first significant digit is 5. Then 0 is my second significant digit, and then 5 is my third significant digit. Now let's move on. So now we have a few practice questions to go through. Our first question says, round 46.874 to A, 1 significant figure, B, 2 significant figures, and C, 3 significant figures. So let's start rounding 46.874 to 1 significant figure first. So here I'm going to do A. Now to round this number to 1 significant figure, I'm going to figure out the first significant digit in the number. So my first significant digit is going to be 4, because 4 is my first non-zero number. Then I'm going to look at the numbers right. I have 6. If this number right over here is 5 or greater than 5, we round up. However, if it's 4 or less than 4, then we round down. Now, rounding up just means adding a 1 to its previous digit. So because 6 is greater than 5, I'm going to round up, meaning that I'm going to add 1 to its previous digit, which is 4. So I'm adding 1. So now my answer for this part A is going to be 5050, because you put a 0 instead of the rest of the numbers. However, because these are my decimal numbers, it's not necessary for me to write zeros in this place. However, it is necessary for me to write a 0 in the place of 6, because 6 is in my ones place. Moving on to part B. Part B says to round the number to 2 significant digits. So for doing that, I first have to figure out my second significant digit. So we know that 4 is our first significant digit, and that means that 6 is my second significant digit. Then I'm going to look at its right, where I have 8. Now because 8 is greater than 5, I'm going to round up, meaning that I'm going to add 1 to 6. So my answer is going to be 47. Let's move on to part C. Part C says to round the number to 3 significant digits. For doing that, I have to figure out my third significant digit. So 4 is my first significant digit, 6 is my second, and 8 is my third. Now I'm going to look at 8's right where I have 7. Because 7 is greater than 5, I'm going to round up, meaning I'm going to add 1 to 8. So my answer is going to be 46.9. I don't have to write zeros for the places of 7 and 4 because they're decimal numbers, and it does not matter if zeros come after the decimal numbers. Now let's move on. Now our practice question says to round 0.08599 to A, 1 significant figure, B, 2 significant figures, and C, 3 significant figures. So let's start with part A. So to round this number to 1 significant figure, I have to first figure out my first significant digit. So in this case, my first significant digit is 8 because this is my first non-zero number. Now I'm going to look at the numbers right, where I have 5. Because it's 5, I'm going to round up, meaning add 1 to its previous digit. And all of these rest numbers will become zeros. So my answer for A is going to be 0.09. Now part B says to round this number to 2 significant figures. So for rounding to 2 significant figures, I first have to figure out 2 significant digits in the number. So when it says 1 significant figure, you have to find 1 significant digit. But when it says 2 significant figures, you have to find 2 significant digits. So 8 is my first significant digit, and 5 is my second significant digit. Now I'm going to look at 5's right, where I have 9. 9 is greater than 5, so I'm going to round up, meaning adding 1 to the previous digit, which is 5. So my answer is going to be 0.086. 5 plus 1 is 6. Moving on to part C. Part C says to round to 3 significant figures. So now I'm going to figure out 3 significant digits. So 8 is my first significant digit, 5 is my second significant digit. That means that 9 is going to be my third significant digit. So now I'm going to look at 9's rights, where I have another 9. Rounding up means adding 1 to its previous number. So now if we look at the number 9 plus 1, that makes 10. So how am I supposed to write 10 now? So what you do is, when you have a number like this, so I'm going to write this down over here, 0.08599, and I figured out this is my third significant digit. I looked at this right where I have 9. 9 plus 1 is 10 because I have to round up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all of this 9 plus 1 a 0. And then I'm going to add this 1 to its next number, to 5. So 5 plus 1 is 6. That means that instead of 5, 9, I'm going to write 6, 0. So now let's write this as our answer. So my answer for this question is 0.0860. Now let's move on. Now our practice question says to round 0.10653 to A, 1 significant figure, B, 2 significant figures, and C, 3 significant figures. So let's start with doing A. Now to round to 1 significant figure, I'm going to figure out the first significant digit, which is 1 because this is my first non-zero digit. I'm going to look at its right where I have 0. Now 0 is less than 4. That means that I'm going to round down. Rounding down just means leaving a number as it is and changing the rest of the numbers to zeros. So my answer is going to be 0.1. You can write zeros instead of 0653, but because it's a decimal number, 10653, I'm not going to write these zeros because it's not necessary. Now let's move on to part B. Part B is to round to 2 significant figures. Now for rounding to 2 significant figures, I have to find out 2 significant digits. So 1 is my first significant digit and 0 is my second significant digit. I'm going to look at zeros right where I have 6. 6 is greater than 5, so I'm going to round up, meaning adding 1 to 0. And then I'm going to make the rest of the numbers zeros. So my answer is going to be 0.11. Moving on to part C, which says to round the number to 3 significant figures. So for rounding to 3 significant figures, I have to find 3 significant digits. 1 is my first one, 0 is my second one, and 6 is going to be my third significant digit. I'm going to look at 6's right, where I have 5. Because it's 5, I'm going to round up, meaning adding 1 to 6. So my answer is going to be 0.107. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of my videos.